here is some things that you're going to need to make the next set of things you're going to have to make. This project is the Drape Bowl set. I'm asking you to make a set of four bowls. So later on, when you make 2 and you ask me, how many were you supposed to make? Go back and look at the video. It says it right there. This clay that I'm using is a clay that I pugged, and it's a little more firm. And this again is one of those projects where you really don't want soupy, like soft, wet clay, because that's not the best. Now this clay isn't like rock hard, but it also is not fresh, brand new off the block. I wouldn't recommend throwing with this clay. So what I'm doing is I'm just basically kind of cleaning it up and maybe putting a little wetness on it so it's pliable for right now. And then I'm gonna smooth out the surface, okay? After I get the surface good and smooth, oop, did you hear me snap that air pocket out of there? That's good, you should always do that. Get the air pockets out, because if you don't, it can blow up in the kiln. Okay, you do not have to put texture on the outside of your bowl. I'm just trying to give you some ideas of what you can do. Just some, different things. Okay, so the process of draping is basically, you're going to get a bowl that already exists. I have bowls for you to use. Some are made of plastic, some are made of plaster. They're all different types. Some are made of ceramic, some are made of wood. I'm just going to suggest to you that if you are going to use one of my bowls, do not depend on it being there every time you go to the cabinet to get one. And the cabinet where it's found is right underneath the pug mill over there by my red chair. So you can get bowls from there. But what I'm suggesting is that you're gonna have to make sure that your bowl is always available. So one way to make sure of that is to bring your own, okay? I have some, but you can use mine. All right, so that's just a little something about the bowls. So what we're gonna do, I put some texture on there. I'm just gonna lay this slab over the top. And this clay is a little more firm, okay? So that causes it to, when you press on it, maybe to crack a little bit. And that's okay. You can always smooth those parts out and bring them back together, or just disinclude them in the final bowl. Notice that I'm not like blowing it up, like trying to smash it down. That's not how you get it on there. What you're trying to do is to get it on there in a real gentle way so that it kind of forms around that shape slowly. Like, we don't want to do it fast. Probably the clay you're going to use is a little softer than this, and it probably won't crack as much as this is, but I try to give a demonstration where it's the most difficulty so that you can see the problem or the troubleshooting that has to take place. So, all right, I have the basic like bump under there. You can see where the bowl's at. At that point right there, that's when I'm gonna pull off a lot of the excess that's like hanging over the edge that I know I'm not gonna have to use right away. I might use it for something else later, so I'm not gonna just automatically wad it up, but eventually you're gonna wanna take that slab and make it into a block. As always, when you make slabs, you just always have to just put that clay back into a ball because it'll dry out. All right, so I'm gonna do that on this side too, and this side over here. Now I'm sure that what's gonna happen is there's gonna be lots of kids who don't know how to get the slab to be the right size to go over the top of the bowl. For the most part, what you have to do is you've gotta get a piece of clay that's as wide as the bowl, and then probably about half as long, and it will roll out to the correct distance. But it's a guesstimation, and if it's a little short, then just re-roll it, and don't fuss about that. It happens. So I'm getting closer on these layover edges like this. I'm gonna keep coming around, and I have it just on the bowl right now, but after I get it a lot tighter than it is right now, I'm gonna put it onto a banding wheel. So, all right, now you can see, if I get this up here for Reese, it's got a kind of a shaping about it, and you can do a little more shaping as that excess goes away, because that excess causes it to not be able to form very well down here towards the bottom, okay? So now we're even closer to where we want it to be, all right? Again, I would like for you to make a set of 4 of these that are keepers, like really good ones. So if you make one and it goes south on you and it doesn't look good, then just redo it. Like, don't make bad stuff and then just pass it off because you don't feel like it. That's what we're here to do, is to make good stuff. So make sure you do a good job. Okay, and I'm even closer now. Now you can see the original bowl underneath here. It's okay if you don't go all the way down to the bottom of where the bowl's at. These bowls that I'm making are gonna be slightly smaller than the OGs that are underneath it. The original one, I'm just not gonna do it exactly like that. Probably one of the hardest parts after this is gonna be to get this right in the center of a banding wheel so that we can put a nice level cut, because we want the rim to be level and good. Sometimes you might make a bowl that has a slanted rim, but for the most part, I'm just gonna show you how to make a straight rim. If you can't do this, like, I gotta find the highest spot. It looks like that's the highest spot right there. So I'm gonna make the cut right there, and I'm not gonna cut with this, I'm just gonna draw the line. So I'm gonna steady my hand, get it into place, and then I'm just gonna turn and just draw a line. I think you can probably see that line. I don't know, I'm sure you probably can, but my hand isn't moving. This is difficult for kids to do sometimes. And if it's difficult for you, that's okay. I will help you do this part. I will be here so I can help you do it. But this is one of those things that can make your bowl look really good or kind of rough. So I use an X-Acto knife to do the cutting part of this, and I'm just gonna trim away right along that line that I made with the pin tool. And we're getting pretty close to all the way around. Once we've got it all cut off, we're just gonna peel that away. And now we have a little closer version of what we wanna have eventually. So the first thing I usually do is I just take the tip of my finger and run it right along the seam on the outside, of the outside edge of that rim, because you do not want this to be dangerous to the user. Like, that's something that's kind of bad. You don't want this to be sharp, like if somebody goes to pick it up. After it has glaze on it, if it's sharp, it can be dangerous. It really can. It can cut you. So now I'm going to add something else, and this is a non-negotiable. This is not something, oh, I didn't want any on mine. That's not part of it. You are making this, and it is happening. So I will cut this with an X-Acto knife, but I also have a different way of marking this so I can get a perfectly parallel line. I have those little corn cob holders on my desk, and I've been telling people like forever what those are for, because I don't eat corn on the cob in here. I mean, I haven't yet. It's not that I wouldn't. But you take those little corn holders and you pull those along those two pins, and that makes a perfectly parallel set of railroad tracks. And then you can make a foot out of that. So what I'm making is a foot. So I'm gonna pull a nice long line along here. And because, like I've told people that are on the wheel, I'm magical, I can make this perfect. That's just because someone gave me this. I'm just lucky. So that's kind of rough right there. So I'm gonna have to augment that. So I just have a perfectly nice little rectangle of clay like that. And then what I'm gonna do is, you're gonna have to probably get a top view on this for me, Reese, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just like hold right here and let the spinning show me where a good circle's at. When you go to put a foot on, you wanna make sure it's something that will support the bowl and not let it rock around and tip all over the place, because we want this to be a very functional item. We want this to really work nicely. Utilitarian wear, after all. It's not sculpture, it's ceramics. So we're gonna put some scoring on here. Okay, put a little slip on here. That's kind of the quick trick. I'm gonna score this part right here, and then I'll put like, oh, I brought a brush, how nice. I'm gonna put the slip onto this part right here. All right, and then because I don't think it's gonna make it all the way around, and because I think it would be a nice artistic touch, here's something I'm going to do to make it interesting. So I'm gonna cut this into some equal sized pieces. I'll say 3 of them, because every good farmer knows a 3-legged stool is better than a 4-legged stool. That's really true. A stool will rock around if it has 4 legs, but 3 will not. So I'm gonna press that down, that scored part. I'm gonna triangulate it so it's like kind of spread out like this, right? And then I'm gonna balance it on this last one so it's like way over here, yeah. So we're gonna press those down. This is a blending situation too. This is really important to like blend these parts together, because if the feet break off, then they won't work very well. Make sure you kind of get those seams blended together. Okay. And now we're pretty close to finished with the bottom side of the bowl. And then eventually what will happen, this will come off here when the bowl does not change shape very easily. See how easily it changes shape? It's probably too soon to take this off. You might be able to clean up some of this stuff, like that's kind of ugly right there, that part that you can see. So I'm gonna right away, I'm gonna just really get that cleaned up. And then again, the pivotal move is coming along this inside edge right there and blunting that sharp 90-degree angle. If you don't soften that up, that can be a dangerous piece. And we want to make sure that's nice and useful, like it's rounded. And then on the inside, we're just gonna like smooth out the inside, because we don't want any crevices or creases or cracks or anything like that. We want to make sure we smooth all that over. And then once you have it all cleaned up on the inside, and again, this is a hurry up job. You know that I have to hurry up during demonstrations, otherwise people will lose interest. So it's a little soft to have taken it off. So since we're in that situation, I'm gonna put it back on here and let it chill. Hopefully you can get this done in one class period so that you can return my bowl back up there. So if somebody else is using it, you're not robbing them of the opportunity to use their bowl in class. And then they're sitting around not doing anything and driving me nuts. I want to show you one additional thing that I've never taught you about before. I have a bunch of these, they're actually fired, they're bisque fired pieces of clay that have seashell impressions into them. You do not have to put seashells on your bowl. Like, I know I'm gonna get at least one kid who thinks that I'm insisting you use seashells, but all I'm doing is I'm pressing that clay into that seashell shape right there and getting an impression made. I call them an impression mold, that's what they are. But you can see this is like one of those little sort of spirally long shells like that. And then after you get the impression made, like I said, it's not all seashells. I have tons of impression molds. I have different kinds of animals. I have all kinds of seashells. I have Celtic signs. I have just a weird collection of stuff. I can show you where those are at if you would like something like that. But this is something that can this can unify your bowl set. So I would like all 4 bowls to be made from the same bowl. So when you come in here, you're gonna need to get the same bowl that you used before so that you can make the same bowl 4 times. Now I have a little impression of a seashell right there. See that? And then all I'm gonna do is put a little scoring on the back of there, pick a spot. There's something ugly, I want that to go away. So I'm gonna put a little slip on there, put a little slip on here, and then I'm gonna curve it in an interesting way. It kind of looks like a shrimp now, I like that. So this would be a heck of a little sushi bowl probably. But just think about all the utilitarian uses you can make out of this thing. And then you basically have one of these done now. And then finish work is so important on this project. Like, if you look really close, you can see my scoring lines that I haphazardly threw on there. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna clean that stuff up and make it all nice again so that it doesn't look rough. And then you're gonna find any little spots that have like just ugliness of any kind. And if you want to look and point up there right underneath the clock wreaths, you see there's like those clay shapers right up there and those face mugs. Those are really good for blending clay and for fixing up little spots that don't look great on your bowl. So to get a nice finished product, you're gonna have to put that kind of quality work into it. So that's a really fast version of a bowl. I did that in like maybe 10 minutes. It's probably gonna take you a class period to do a bowl. So this is your next assignment. You're gonna do 4 of these as a set. They should all match. They should all be unified. Maybe they'll all have a seashell, or like in this case, this kind of looks like a shrimp, so I might put a little like fan tail on there right there so it looks kind of nice like seafood. That's just one idea. You can come up with any idea you want. So there's an example of what you're going to make next.